Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Hey, on tomorrow's podcast, I will update the Comedy Power rankings. That's my own personal list of who is the most powerful comedian these days. You don't want to miss that. As you could tell, it is taken very seriously. Also taken very seriously is wearing masks at Trump rallies. Oh, wait, it's not at all. Seth Meyers said, hey, Trump might be getting 4 more years, but I'm not so sure about the rest of you. Fallon said if there's any parents watching, if you ran out of Where's Waldo books for your kids during quarantine, just hand them this photo and tell them to find a Trump supporter wearing a mask. Seth Meyers said, just a tip, if you're a cashier at the Chick-fil-A closest to the rally venue, you might consider dressing like the bad guys from E.T. Seth. And by the way, this isn't hypothetical. We already know his rally in Tulsa led to a surge in cases there. At this point, Trump rallies are on the list of high-risk activities like doorknob licking, hugging everyone on the subway, and eating shrimp at the strip club buffet. Seth, again, I'm not even really sure what rally attendees are getting out of it for all the risks they're taking. I mean, you can't even really follow what the guy's saying. Most of the time, he just stands there sweating profusely and complaining about things he recently watched on TV. And Jimmy Fallon with, by the way, did you see which network was airing the rally? C-SPAN 3. You know your campaign is going well when even C-SPAN 2 says, nah, we're good. Speaking of late-night hosts, David Letterman used to host one of them, right? Well, now he's got a Netflix show, and the Netflix show, if you've seen it, if we took everything that we loved about Letterman in the 80s and got rid of all of that and just left the interviews, that's Letterman's Netflix show. How about we don't interview anyone and we just throw stuff off a 5-story tower? I would watch that on Netflix, David Letterman. I haven't been able to get in his show. You know, old me would love to go back in time and tell like 20-year-old me, look, Letterman's going to be on at 11:30 and you're never going to watch it. Young me would be like, what are you talking about? I stay up to 1:30 in the morning watching Letterman every night. Late Night with David Letterman is the greatest thing I've ever seen. No, you don't understand. He's going to put on shoes and an Armani suit and it's going to get boring after like 15 years. No, you're crazy. He'll throw stuff off a tower and crush things with a hydraulic press. Yeah, but after he retires from the 11:30 show, he's going to go on Netflix. He's going to have a beard down to his knees and he's going to do serious interviews with people. What? David Letterman? No, he'll throw watermelons off stuff. Sorry, I digress. Dave Chappelle is going to be on David Letterman's Netflix show, so you can check that out. I'll probably watch that one because Chappelle is super interesting. Speaking of Chappelle, the super deluxe reissue of Prince's Sign of the Times album drops today, and the liner notes include an interview with Dave Chappelle, where Dave reflects on his love of Prince, but also the friendship he formed with Prince. Chappelle says Prince is the only person who supported him quitting Chappelle's show without hesitating. He told Vulture, he was one of the few people who truly cared about what was happening in my life. He was the only one I knew who had already done it. In the loneliest corners of that experience, there was always a sign like Brooks was here, that he had been there and lived to tell about it. He was the first person I knew who didn't question my choices. In fact, he didn't even ask me about them. He just told me, whatever it is, you're right. He helped me understand that it might not be over and that there might be another side to it. And Prince was right. Chappelle has had a resurgence with a multi-million deal with Netflix, blah, 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 and he does concerts in the park. Seth Meyers is getting a primetime special. He will host a half-hour special based on his show's signature Closer Look. You know, everybody talks about Closer Look all the time. I was at the bank earlier today, and somebody's like, did you see Seth Meyers last night? Closer Look was awesome, right? No, that didn't happen at all. That doesn't happen. But let's pretend it's a signature thing. Closer Look will be on October 8th at 8:30 p.m. on your NBC. I am told by Variety that Closer Look weaves analysis, jokes, outtakes from news reports, and clever graphics into a minutes-long vignette that examines the news of the day. I wonder if Jon Stewart is familiar with that. An offer provides a weightier counterpart to some of late-night TV's regular humor. I wonder if John Oliver has seen this thing. NBC expects the special to dissect the events of the day, up-to-the-minute breaking news, and other important facts as America begins to cast its vote. I wonder if Trevor Noah's seen that. Anyway. Hey, you can act like it's a slow news day if I tell you Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is buying a soccer team. You can act like I just went like Googling everything and scraped up this story, but that is not true, my friend. Rob and Ryan Reynolds are potential investors in Welsh soccer club Wrexham AFC. Yeah, this sounds like I'm doing a bit. Yeah, this sounds like I'm doing a Ted Lasso spinoff. Nope. They want to buy Wrexham AFC. Wrexham's website on Wednesday evening said, as confirmed this morning, 97.5% of voters voted in favor of the resolution to allow Reynolds and McElhenney to buy in. As a result, talks with the proposed bidders will now continue, and we are in a position to confirm the two people interested in investing in Wrexham AFC. In due course, Mr. McElhenney and Mr. Reynolds will put forward their vision for Wrexham AFC and proposal for members to vote on at a second special general meeting. See, you think it's a slow news day. It's not, because I've got the story from Chris Rock in The Hollywood Reporter. And he says, although he's been addressing systemic racism and the targeting of black people by police for 30 years, he has regrets about not doing more. He said, even though I talked about it and I joked about it, there's part of me that's ashamed at how much of it I just accepted. And he told a story about being out in New York City one night. And he said, I remember Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, Prince, and me at a club one night. Let's just stop there before we get to the serious part of it. Imagine Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, and Prince hanging out. Arsenio Hall is the fourth most famous person in that group by a lot. Chris Rock is the third most famous person in that group by a lot. So Rock, Eddie, Arsenio, and Prince are hanging out at a club, and Donald Trump walks in, and all these girls just start running in that side of the room because a fucking 6-foot whatever blonde billionaire with his name on all the buildings walks in. Like, if that room was a seesaw, we'd be in the air. And finally, a little teaser from Netflix. They announced that the cast of Father of the Bride will be teaming up today for a, quote, very special event, but Netflix won't tell us what it is. Maybe by the time you listen to my podcast, it has been revealed. Speculation is it's a cast reunion, maybe even a table read. That's your comedy news for today. Tomorrow, Comedy Power Rankings. You don't want to miss that. Subscribe on all those places I always tell you about. Apple Podcasts is one of them. Follow on Spotify. Thanks for listening. It was another big week of listenership. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. See you tomorrow.